The first of these is the Lost One. On very rare occasions, Boris will spawn into a stage as one of these goopy humanoid beings. His movement is slower as he staggers around in the same fashion we saw these failed experiments do in Bendy Chapter 5. This is basically a super rare Easter egg with an estimated 1 in 3,000 chance of appearing. No wonder only 1 or 2 people out there have documented it so far. The second of these new characters is an evil hybrid of Boris known as Borkus. His eyes glow bright yellow as if possessed by a demon of his own as he relentlessly chases our Boris through the halls of a level known as Floor 414. The number of this floor and the character Borkus both have a history relating to the development of a previous game from Joey Drew Studios, Bendy and the Ink Machine. 414 is a number familiar to Bendy fans for several reasons. It translates to the date April 14th, and this date has been used to release trailers for Bendy and the Dark Revival, as well as dates for audio log teasers too. It even popped up in-game as a secret message. Yes, if you add up all these lines on this tally board, they give you the number 414. So kind of an in-joke by the development team, as is Borkus himself. You see, Borkus originated from a pitch by Matt Goals, a senior programmer at Joey Drew Studios. Matt originally pitched a character for Bendy Chapter 3 that was deemed a little too radical. He jokingly posted this flat-headed version of Boris on his Twitter feed, calling him Borkus. It seems all of this eventually led to this Easter egg being added to the Wolf Trials update of Boris and the Dark Survival, with Matt taking to Twitter to exclaim his surprise at fans already finding something he had buried pretty deep in the game files. The footage you saw here in this video of the Lost Ones and Borkus has been clipped from 2 much longer videos uploaded by a YouTuber called Full Tilt On. He has documented these stages in full detail, so check out his channel and the complete videos linked in the description below this one. Moving on to those lookholes next, and we have some additional content here too. The first is a jump scare displaying a mangled Boris who appears right before our eyes. Next up we have a message, "The machine must endure." This is of course a reference to Bendy and the Dark Revival, as we glimpsed the same words written on a wall during the gameplay trailer released last summer. Finally, on rare occasions, Boris will peek through one of these holes and come across what appears to be a treasure map. On one side of the page we see the letter R, and then what appears to be the outline of a level layout with a set of footprints leading to an X, perhaps marking the location of a secret item. The obvious conclusion would be to assume that this map relates directly to level R, a floor we sometimes spawn on during gameplay. But due to the random generation of the game world, is it even possible to translate this map to the game directly? Again, questions I can't answer at this time. It may be that this map is simply a neat little secret to get people talking. However, much like the trapdoor in Bendy and the Ink Machine, it seems likely this map may eventually lead somewhere and have a deeper meaning. The banjo in the background could mean it ties into a possible reveal of Sammy Lawrence in a future update, or maybe this map leads us to another Sammy sanctuary in one of the levels. After all, we also see a shutter much like the one Sammy hid behind in Bendy Chapter 2. But of course, while Sammy did enjoy playing the banjo, so did Boris, and so we shouldn't assume this teaser relates directly to Sammy, but it is a possibility. Next up are 3 different audio recordings. The first of these is from a character we haven't heard from in a long time, toymaker Sean Flynn.
So here's what I've been asking myself. Sean, you went and bought yourself a new one-of-a-kind tool belt. It was a beautiful thing. But last night, you put it up on your shelf. And the very next day, when you came back to this old toy factory, it was gone, lost to thin air. Now here's the very question I ask myself. Isn't that new one-of-a-kind tool belt that gent fella's wearing this morning just such a beautiful thing? I wonder where he got it. As if I didn't know. That dirty crow.
Sean laments the loss of his new tool belt, which seems to have been taken by a gent employee. The only confirmed gent employee we know worked at the studio was Thomas Connor, so this audio log reveals Connor's dishonest side, a shade of his character we had previously sensed upon the discovery that he was in cahoots with Joey Drew, developing the ink machine in secret beneath the studio, a creation which of course led to many human casualties.
Bit of your soul on that is when each pipe you put in.
Next up is an audio log from Wally Franks, who sheds further light on both Thomas Connor and the state of the studio.
So here's where the weird starts. I was mopping up some of Mr. Connor's spilled ink in that little room he calls a laboratory. He can call the laboratory all he wants, but it used to be the employee coat closet. Anyway, there I was mopping. But that puddle, I'm telling you, it kept moving this way and that way, like it had the smarts or something. If these messes keep being like this, I'm out of here.
Not only does Wally's new recording give us insight into the mind of Thomas Connor, who seems to have become obsessed with his work on creating living cartoons via the ink machine, it also reveals how once again Joey Drew cut corners by forcing Connor, a man of science, to work in an old cloakroom. Anything to save a dime, it would seem. Next, we hear about living ink freely roaming the studio, and anyone who has read the Bendy novel Dreams Come to Life will remember that due to leaky ink machine pipes, the special living ink got free and began taking over those it came in contact with. This is further evidence of the studio employees becoming exposed to this dangerous liquid. In fact, many workers may have transformed into inky monstrosities this very way. Finally, there is one hidden audio log from the man himself, Mr. Joey Drew, but you'll have to put in a bit of work to access it. Remember that minigame in the safe house? We need to get that working. To do so, simply search lockers found around the various stages, and some of these will hold the fuses we require. Eventually, if we search for long enough, all 6 will be in our possession. It seems Wally Franks was a big fan of this machine, racking up a high score of 15. You will need to beat this score in order for Joey's recording to unlock. After doing so, it shows up in a hole in the wall beside the minigame, so let's check it out.
It's been quite a struggle to put this into words, Nathan. After so many years, I'd never ask unless it was dire. But when a man's in a spot, he should call upon his friends. Truth is, well, the studio is coming up a little short. Hit a few unexpected bumps. If you could lend us the amount I mentioned in my last letter, it would be a big help to me. Hope this reaches you in South America. You and Tessa enjoy your vacation.
Now, this audio recording reveals that Joey was in a vulnerable state, a side of him we haven't seen before. Usually he is full of gusto and tough talk, but here he begs his investor Nathan for additional funds to keep his studio going through the tough times. Of course, we know now these investor friends stopped helping him out as his studio eventually went bankrupt. This recording is simply a window into Joey's mental state during the final months of the studio's existence. A man who lived with many regrets.
And my road burned. I let our creations become my life.
Before we wrap up this video, it is worth mentioning one final secret, although it's something we cannot access at this time. Remember in the last Boris in the Dark survival video, we touched on the inclusion of a mystery box with no way to open it. Well, just to troll us extra hard, this update includes a second box beside the door to Alice's lair. Once again, it can't be opened, and neither can the original box. This likely then relates to a future update, or perhaps even the release of Bendy and the Dark Revival. For now, they simply remain a mystery for us to ponder, and with that, we close off today's video. I hope